Hello. Wow. Oof. We are here. Welcome. Thanks for coming onto the stream. Thank you as well for everybody's entries. It's going to be fun. How did you guys find it? Was the competition okay? Was it a bit challenging? I know I personally find this genre of writing, it's always more intricate than you think. So thank you guys so much for sending me your tracks and joining in with this competition. Anybody who's maybe watching this afterwards or joins in, what we've been doing is something called the Golden Age music competition. The Golden Age music is essentially any type of music really that is composed between the early to late 50s and probably mid 90s. But we're primarily looking at orchestral music. So that's like the Danny Elfmans, Jerry Goldsmith, John Williams, just the list goes on, so those are the main ones anyway, the ones that give you really anthemic melodies. And we had guys, how long was it? 5 weeks to come up with our themes, write them, make sure we're happy with them. It was something like that, wasn't it? Hey Fred, how you doing, man? Great to have you here. So basically today we're going to be announcing the winner, but before we do, we've got to listen to them because they're epic. Seriously, they're amazing. They're so good. Right, who shall we? We'll just go in order from top to bottom. I'm going to let you I'm going to let you just sit there patiently first, right? So we've got Fred's, Chris's, and Val's. Nice to see you guys on as well to see how you did, and hopefully these competitions will just continue to grow and grow and grow and grow. So let's go. Woo! Wowza. So that was Fred's. I'm going to give some thoughts as well about everything that's included in these pieces, because it's so good. All of these are just awesome. I was picking up, you know, some really awesome Jerry Goldsmith kind of vibes. Very John Williams as well, with those passages, Fred, in the flutes and piccolos, especially, you know, the diminuendo passages as well, on the violin here. This is just beautiful. Let's take a listen again. So we've got the oboe there, followed by the violin, isn't it? This bit. That's something I do all the time, just going down a lovely scale, you know. Hey Chris, nice to see you, man. Yeah, so it's, you know, really well done there, and I love how, you know, you've taken a theme, you know, you've got about 3 themes there, and really you only needed one. I think Chris, you're the only one who actually stuck to your theme and developed it, which was really, really cool. That is, you know, it's a hard thing to do. We'll get to yours, Chris, in a minute anyway. So yeah, so I really like, you know, the anthemic kind of sounds, and you've all gone for that kind of anthem sound, which is really, really cool. There's really good development as well, especially in this section here, this mid section here. You know, you just really get into that, you know, that staccatissimo horns that are just quite driving. And then I remember you saying, actually, Fred, that you struggle with percussion, and the percussion in this was brilliant because you had some offbeats as well that was leading you back into the main note, and that's a brilliant technique to have. That's really, really good. Yeah, so that's all of, well, that's not all of the good points. It's, you know, there's loads. I love theme 2, as I said, you know, this section here, but, you know, things to develop as well. You know, let's keep this kind of balanced. I'll give you all a little bit of feedback. You know, I would probably say the first thing is pick a theme and just develop it. Yeah, so you know, stretch, as I think I've said before, Fred, you know, stretch out of your harmonic bubble. You really like to be in this like Western classical typical style. So what I would probably suggest doing is have a look at like mixing modes. Yeah, because you're using modes here, so you've got kind of a Dorian feel going on in this section, the section I really like. You could also be incorporating you could extend that Dorian sound if you wanted as well. So you could use like a Dorian flat 2, which is exactly the same as a normal Dorian scale, except for it's got a flat 2 in it. So Val, you'll remember at this actually, because I went on a little live stream lesson with you the other day, didn't I, about Dorian mode. But then, you know, like, so Dorian is C, D, E flat, F, G, A, and B flat. So the main 2 are that E flat and the B flat, yeah? So the flat 3rd and the flat or dominant 7. It's that dominant sound is what makes Dorian Dorian. And you've got a little bit of that coming here, but I think it's accidental. So what you could do as well is add in that D flat in. Can actually mean that your sound becomes a little bit more varied. So you know, you can start adding chords such as like it's like an F sharp minor essentially. You know, you add into the equation. So if I get the trusty old guitar, your chord progressions, they sound so normal Dorian is, yeah, that's right. Couldn't remember for a second. And then it's a B flat major. Yeah, so that's your normal sound. So if you're going up this, then we go to the E flat diminished chord, and then we could even go up to F major and then F sharp minor. Yeah, so listen. Yeah, so there's ever so slight subtle differences there, but that would mean that you'd be able to make. So you know it's more chromatic. Then you could also, though, you could use another mode in there. And I might, sorry if I'm blowing your mind a little bit here, that might be too much. But then you could go into the Phrygian mode, which is kind of similar to the Dorian mode anyway, whereas it's a bit minor. But instead of having the A natural, you have an A flat. I think that's it. So that means you've got 3 flats, which then extends your harmony again, because it means that you can have, you've got an A flat, a C and an E flat in there, so you can have A flat major as well. So then that means that you can go C minor, you know, say you're starting off in Dorian, and then you just want to switch it up a bit, so you go, and then so that was the flat second sound of Dorian. Then you can switch it to Phrygian, yeah, so it becomes this very, very chromatic sound, but you're incorporating 2 modes essentially. It's 2 modes, one's extended. Yeah, so switching back between that, you can get a really, really nice sound. I think generally that is pretty much everything really, and that it's not quite developed as much. I mean, you've only got 2 minutes. That's why I was like 30 seconds to 2 minutes, didn't I? So so that was my thought process in when I was listening to these. So Chris, let's listen to yours, because I really like that there were some really cool things in this, actually. Love it. That corny ending there, Chris, man, that's me all over. And I quite like the fact that you incorporated wood blocks in there. I think really cool, so cool. Yeah, you're the only one actually who stretched out of that that one key bubble. Does that make sense? I think so. It was a must. Yeah, that it was like the epitome of cheese, man. It was so good. It was like brie, and I like brie. So yeah, it was really, really good. I think out of all of these, this one has the strongest melody. You know, I think I'm probably going to be like awake all night tonight. You know, just going down ba 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 bum ba ba bum ba ba. I think it's just going to be stuck in my head, which is awesome. This section as well, this key change, that's wonderful. That's really, really nice. Just stretch it out a little bit. Go into so the relative, I think you went to. So it was lovely, really, really nice. And then here, I don't know if anybody actually heard this, like little intricacies. Very, very similar to Fred actually, but in a different way. So where Fred, you used lots of like glissandi kind of passages, Chris, you went for the trill, which is awesome. I think you've got like a major trill here. Let's listen. That's really, really nice. Really, really nice. Let's see if we can just get it. Yeah, really, really cool. So using woodwind like that, really, really good. Your orchestration is on point. Really felt like this was quite reminiscent of something like Dragonheart and How to Train Your Dragon, which like you can tell that kind of music is a big influence to you, and it shines. It's what you do best, I think. It just sounds really, really nice. Especially I was really getting that Dragonheart kind of vibe from it, so that was really, really good. I was actually watching Dragonheart a few weeks ago as well, so if I hadn't have watched that, I might not have made that exact connection. But yeah, it'd be interesting to know your thoughts there. So yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, trills are like everywhere, aren't they? Trills, and you've got like tremolando everywhere. I think as well that's a really good compositional technique, especially when you're using virtual instruments, because quite often, especially now, in the past 40 years, there's usually two string sections now. One's usually playing straight and one's usually playing trill, and it's exactly the same when you're approaching your strings. Really, you should have one part doing the normal and then another part just sat behind it, pushing it with some movement as well, which trills really, really do. So you could use long marcato for that as well, and then just subdivide the long notes that you're doing. There's loads of ways you can do it. And depending on which way that suits you, you're going to get a really, really good and different outcome, aren't you? If you shy away, and that is one thing that was brilliant. That lovely major trill. What have I put as well? Yeah. I think I've just put what theme well put together. I think that's really, especially this section. This is like, it's all, and it's like A1, A2, break, A3, A2, development, outro. Yeah, so it's kind of like an arch form. Yeah, that you're doing, which is a really, really popular classical technique to do. So that was really, really good. So that's pretty much all of the good points about it. Very similar. All these are really, really, really close, I think. With this one, in terms of things that could be improved, I think the mix could be improved a little bit. It was quite wet sounding, and it's very, very low mids focused, and that kind of detracts because I said that trill sound was brilliant, but actually it's really difficult to hear. Really, really difficult to hear. So actually using a little bit of EQ just to take a little bit out here and there would have really just made it from really, really good to amazing, because then we'd hear all these intricate parts and how they sit. Whereas at the moment, what you're doing in your mixing phase is that you're getting the volume right of all of your tracks, which is amazing. That's the most fundamental thing that you should do. but then you're not making key decisions on where tracks should be slightly louder and take more dominance, and pulling other tracks down to create space. I think that's something that could be improved. And then additionally using EQ for that as well. And I think this is because this was so complex and there was a lot that I couldn't hear because it's just such a dense mix. What I would expect is that there's probably lots more parts in there that actually could just come down a little bit just to let other things shine. Whereas at the moment it's just the melody, and I know there's a lot more in there. So that is pretty much everything. That's all. I think the development, harmonically was brilliant. Okay, Val, let's take a listen to yours. Is this feedback helpful for you guys as well? Let me know. I can do feedback sessions as well, where we just take a listen to tracks, and then just I'll just say what I think about it, things that you can improve, or if it's perfect, it's perfect. It will be. They'll be like, you're welcome, Chris. Evening, ladies. How rude. How very rude. It's great to see you. It's really, really good. I don't know if you've ever seen Little Britain, but when you said evening, ladies, then in my head I was like, I'm a lady. So that is, if you haven't seen Little Britain, highly offensive. It's so offensive. So offensive. Very, very good though. It is very, very funny. Okay. Oh, thanks, Fred. Let's take a listen. Awesome. Really, really cool. All right, so let's get into this. Val, so emotional. The this first section, oh my goodness. Let's just take a listen. Where did you get this idea, and the almost I can't even explain it really. It's like Poco Portamento kind of feel to it. So you're really putting a lot of effort here into shaping the sound. Let's just take a listen to that again. Cool. Yeah, it's really, really awesome. That da 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 da, and then you've got like some kind of I don't know, like muted tam tam or something in the back. You know, that is almost, you know, it's rimmed. So whatever it is, please tell me what that sound is. Whatever it is, it just sounds really nice. But it also like kind of reminds me of time. You know, it's like a clock ticking. And then that being echoed in with that da 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 sound, it's really, really good. And then it just develops. And all of this I've wrote in my notes here. I put great intro, introduction as well for this is like you kind of you've got a little short melody there, but it's all underscore. That's really, really cool, and it's something that the other guys didn't do, which was actually leaving space as well, for things that would be maybe on screen, because we're talking about is it harp? Let's have a little listen. Oh yeah, it's pitched. I didn't even hear that. That's cool. Okay, yeah, you made that harp sound brilliantly. Just wow. That's amazing. Also, as a little side junction, I'm gonna have to I said juncture. I'm gonna have to get a camera for over here, because you guys are there on my lovely little chat. So when I'm like talking to you, I'm like never mind. So yeah, just that intro was beautiful. And then you come into you got this small little interlude here, a small break before the melody comes in, and that ba ba bum, that reminded me again of How to Train Your Dragon, because the theme there is da 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 da. So it's it really, really cool. Really, really, really cool. And then you go into it, don't you? And that is that's very, very clever writing. I don't know if you intended to do this, because you have, it's like a question and answer for a start off. Yeah, what you've actually done is you've inverted your original question. That is something that is really, really clever. That's something that pro composers do. Yeah, so that's something you hear in a lot of places. And then you've got like a small little break here, and then you come into I like that it's more horn heavy. It's horny. But you've got a little bit of brass as well, so you've got like a tuba under there and a couple of things supporting it, but it's mainly the horns with a bit of brass. So it's it's like a fanfare, but it's not. That is like very that idea of writing became very popular as well with like films like Saving Private Ryan. That was a really, really good film for this style. And then you bring in this staccatissimo strings. I want to know here what library you used for the horn sounds, because those horn shorts sound brilliant. They sound really, really nice. Obviously I'm not judging it on sample libraries or anything. Or sound. It's purely the composition. But the way that you're using the orchestra here is very, very clever, and you're supporting other parts, which I felt was the big strength here. It's quite easy, I think, to say, okay, we're going to get a melody, then we're going to have some chords, and then we're going to have a bass line, and whatnot, you know, and it's like 3 separate lines, and often, you know, that is the texture of the whole track becomes very similar. Whereas here, even in the waveform, if I make this a little bit bigger, you can see there is countless different waveforms in there, aren't there? So like, if I just pencil tool, so if, you know, just this small section here, that is completely different texturally. You can just see from the waveform to here, and then you come to the end, it's different there, it's different there, it's different there, it's different there, and there, and finally there. Huge development, huge development. I think this is quite reminiscent as well of like animation style. Ooh, am I trying to do something interesting? Okay, yeah, so oh, right, so yeah, you know, you'll see a lot in animation. You know, the themes are constantly being chopped and the textures constantly changing because there's a lot going on screen, or there's a lot going on screen, but there isn't at the same time. So there's not as much emotion that's being shown. So the emotion needs to come from somewhere else. And I think that your style, especially here, is brilliant for animation. I don't know, is that something that you're wanting to do in the future or whatnot? Because that is, you know, for this style, you're really developing it there. The harmony at 130 is great, and again, it's these brass samples. You've said it's Berlin brass. I am not surprised. I don't have Berlin brass, but I would love Berlin brass. Yeah, so like, let's look at 130. Is it here? Yes. Just go from a little bit before, and there's a part where you've just got some you've got a counter melody that's moving in contrary motion, and contrary motion, if you don't know what that is one part goes up and the other part goes down. Yeah, so they're moving in different parts, but then they meet, they come back together, which is really, really nice. So let's take a listen. Yeah, bum 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 bum. I can't go that low. Let's take a listen again. Yeah, so it's like in thirds moving out into sixths. So that's cool. That's really, really cool. And you finished on a high. This is something as well that you did that the other guys didn't do, is that from here all the way up to the end, you're constantly building. So where it's constantly growing, it feels like it's constantly going somewhere, which is exactly what you would do in a cue as well. So you wouldn't just start at the loudest point. You would start, you know, you might write the loudest point first, but then you would dissect that and you would manipulate it so it gradually gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until you're at the point where you need to go, which is often why, especially in like John Williams scores, what he does is he writes that main melody, spends so much time on it, but then it's dissected and it's manipulated and it's put into different ways and used different harmony and whatnot, and often it's like chamber-sized fragments of the orchestra doing small parts for that intersecting diegetic music. Yeah, so that music that is it's intended just to knit things together. He still uses that stuff, but he uses different harmony depending on what's on screen. Okay, so that's all of the great stuff for this as well. Things that could be improved. I think really harmonically, it's very one key. It's very much in one key. So what I would say is actually use your harmonic values maybe just a little bit more sometimes. I know this is only 2 minutes, but that's something that I would probably say for any kind of scoring that you will do, you know, and especially I'm thinking as well from an animation side of things as well, is that yeah, you've got this structure that is really, really great, but you could actually be making a little bit more out of some of those feelings and emotions by just attaching certain vibes, I guess. You know, like you've probably heard it 10, 15, 20 million times before, in how when you approach a track, you know, like happy is major and minor is sad, but then nobody talks about, well, augmented can be mysterious, dominant can be sad as well, but it can also be like a lonely sound, or a sad, you know, a lonely sad kind of sound, or learning not to put thirds or sevenths into your track to keep it harmonically open, which kind of makes it not happy and not sad but somewhere else, things like that, which you did do actually a little bit. You did a little bit of that here in this section, which was great, but you could have pushed it out a little bit more, and I think that's all I've got really to say in terms of improvement. But yeah, it's really, really good. Jealous of your Berlin brass. Yeah, so I think that's all of the tracks with all of the feedback that I've got. So I think all that is left is to announce the winner and the runners-up, obviously. So what? Why is it doing that? Okay, so my number 3. Oh, I think I know why. There we go. So my number 3 in all of the from these things. third. There's no last place. I know there's only 3 entries this time, but there's no last place because these were all brilliant. These were really, really good. So the last place, or the third place, I'm going to call it third place, is Chris. So woo, Chris. Really, really good composition. I would say it was just the mix, really. I couldn't hear a lot of the detail in there that I wanted to hear. So it just meant that I had to be a little bit more critical, and I think I had to be even more critical because all these guys were brilliant. So as a consolation prize, Chris, if you have the paid version of Contact, you pick one of my my contact libraries and I will send it you for free. So that is third place is Chris. Well done, man. Awesome. Okay, so now number 2, and this was really, really difficult. This was possibly the hardest part of my life. No, yeah, it was really, really difficult because it was 2 amazing pieces, really well mixed, really well orchestrated, but there's only one winner. I bet you guys must just be like, you know, you must be like crying and screaming at your screens right now. And in this interjection, I'm just going to see what you guys are saying. Yeah, no problem, Val, for your feedback. No problem. Chris, you haven't lost in my eyes. You'll always be awesome and a pipe blower. I didn't say it. Yeah, well done, Chris. Really, really good. Okay, so in second place is Fred. Woo, go Fred! So yeah, Fred, your piece was just fantastic. It was really, really good. It was really, really well put together. I think that the only thing that I felt that could have been improved is just the harmony. Harmonically, it could have been a little bit better, and also your theme. You know, you had a lot of themes in there, where you could have just kept a theme and then developed it. And I will give some feedback how you can do that as well. So I'll PM you later. So that leaves only one, and I think you have already worked out. Or if you haven't, I'd be worried. But Val, you are the winner of this competition. Congratulations. It was so good, so good. I think the harmony thing was like a quite a small thing for me, because you developed it so well, and you used the tools that you had exceptionally. So I didn't really think of that as a first. It was definitely an afterthought. When I took a listen to your track. So yeah, you have won. But I haven't said what Fred has won yet, because Chris has won something and Fred has definitely won something as well. So Fred, what you have won is a book. So Fred, you have won an audio effects mixing and mastering book. So I will inbox you later and we'll sort out me sending that to you. So big well done. This book gives you everything from, well, let's just have a look, shall we? From mixing to mastering, it sounds. But it's got stuff on compressors, limiters, EQs, reverbs, gates, chorus, other effects, automation, mixing the big picture, mixing strategy, separating new tracks, basic ideas, mastering strategy, mid-side processing, don't give up, calculating frequencies, and decibels. The decibel stuff is really good. So yeah, that is for you. That'll be coming to you pretty soon. So I'll be in touch with you for that. And Val, you have won the first prize of a £30 Essentials Spitfire product, which I've been on the phone to them earlier on. And they've told me how to do it and whatnot, because it's a bit tricky. I wasn't able to do it the way I thought I was going to do it. But yeah, you were awesome, all of you guys. So yeah, thank you so much for joining in the competition. I will be starting another competition in 1 week's time, but there will be a vote on it. So this time you will be able to choose what you do. So how cool is that? I think 5 or 6 weeks was a little bit long for this one. So we're going to try this one in a month. Yes. So yeah, a month. Exciting. So let's see what you guys are saying. Sorry, I'm so bad, aren't I? Ah, yeah. All you guys, you're brilliant. Fantastic. Yeah, Fred, you're definitely right. Val, you did really, really well. You're welcome, guys. It's an absolute honour. It really is. So yeah, okay. So this is the end. What I could do before we go is, Chris, I could take yours and see if I can make it a little bit more clear, if you want. Just as in, there's not a huge amount that I can do, but I could actually just show some techniques that I I would do as well to just to clean this up a little bit. Okay, so we'll do that before we go, because we've got to do something, haven't we? Can't just leave. Okay, first thing is I'm going to use the Abbey Road Saturator on your track. This is just to make it a little bit brighter. Because often, you know, like I said, it was very, very weighty and I guess a little bit muddy. I don't like that word, but the first thing that we would probably say to do is to just take out some of those low mids. Well, that doesn't work. It just, I don't know why, but it doesn't. So we've got to think of a different way to do this. And a different way to do that is actually to add highs. Now, I don't like just boosting, because you're just boosting the frequencies that are already there. So what we can do instead is we can use a saturation plugin. So we're adding harmonics, which is naturally going to make it louder anyway, but then we do this and we do it on a bus. So I've put it there so we can actually just have ultimate control. So I'm going to create a boost around this house. So let's open this up. Bus 1. I'm not going to bother labeling anything because we're not saving this. So I've got that there, and just afterwards, after it, I'm going to put an EQ. Now, you can use the onboard EQ as well to filter out some of those, what I'm doing, but generally, I don't like doing that. And I don't like doing that mainly because the ones inside here, they color the sound, and I just want the color from these two sections here. So the Compander is like adds high end. I'm gonna just bring that down a little bit. So let's just we'll take the end, because that's the loudest bit. And now you can press play. What did I just do? Forgot to mute the others, didn't I? That's funny. Well, that was silly of me, wasn't it? I put it on Fred's. So Fred, yours has just got really loud. Let's put it on 1. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to just keep that all the way up. I'm going to add this up now. You'll just hear the high end come back in. Okay, so you can hear that's really saturated. We'll just turn that back on again now, so you'll hear the high end go, the low end go, sorry. We're going to use the TG, it sounds a little bit more aggressive. And now we're just going to blend it in. That's better actually. Okay, so that's kind of pushed the reverb back a little bit, so that's kind of okay. Now just imagine that the other tracks aren't there. We are just going to add a multipressor. So a multipressor is a compressor that only compresses specific frequency ranges. So we're going to take a listen to this again. Okay, so that brought the clarity back, and now just for the final bits, I think what I would say is we can use a dynamic EQ, and I only have one, which is the TDR Nova, so I need to get another one because I love dynamic EQ. It's like one of my favorite things. And what we're going to try to do is we're going to try and raise up some of this mid-range that we've taken out, but then every time the drums come in, I want it to duck. So when the low end comes in, it should just pull it down. Okay, so the way we do that is we bring it up. Okay, we bring our threshold on and we bring our threshold down. So we went up by 12 dB. We don't want 12 dB. Is it 12 dB? No, it's not. It's 3 dB. Ah, that's fine. So we want to go down by 3 dB as well. Okay, so we're adding it, but then what it's going to do is it's probably going to duck it back down to 0 when the bass hits. Okay, now we're going to take a listen to this again, just the beginnings. Let's see if we can hear now, Chris, those special bits that I really wanted to hear. Okay, now this bit what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna mute the auxiliary, right, just mute these basically. And this is what we had. Okay, so that's what we had, and this is what we are left with after a little bit of tweaking. Off. So what I've done is I haven't necessarily changed anything drastically in there, so you've ended up with a little bit more high end and a more controlled mid-range, but what that's ended up doing, and obviously I'd have to pull the volume down because I think it was compressing it a bit as well, just through that multipressor, but what that's done is it's actually added a more level, and it's added more clarity in as well, which is the main thing that you would want to do in this scenario. So that's a good way if you've got, if you can't find your tracks anymore, or you've only got your one bounce but you want to just remaster it. A good way to do is add saturation into it, just to level out where you want. If it's too muddy, it's usually too muddy, isn't it? It's either too muddy or there's not enough. And what you would do is you wouldn't just boost one without ducking the other. So you'd do that, or you'd do that. Yeah. But then using saturation is a really, really powerful tool. Most people get the EQ, and then maybe some people might get the compression, but then there's a rare group of people who they get the EQ, they get the compression, but they forget about the third, which is saturation. The pros, they don't have to worry about saturation as much because they've got huge consoles that, because they're mixing through that, it naturally gives them the saturation, which is really annoying. We have to add it in. Okay, so yeah, there we go. Yeah, so I think that's it. Let's just answer your questions if you've got any. Yeah, anything left? Just trumpet. Okay, cool. Yeah, Chris, that's fine. Yeah, saturation is king. That is definitely that's why I love the Abbey Roads saturator. I think for stuff like this, it's really, really good. Lots of people go on, I've said this before, but lots of people, they go on about like Sound Toys, and Sound Toys is great, and it's got a really, really nice sound. I don't think you can tweak quite as much inside the plugin as you can, or at least I don't know, but I don't know. They're probably just as good as each other, just different. But the Abbey Roads one just seems to work for me. So yeah, one day I might get the decapitator, but I definitely don't need it at the moment. I'm really, really happy with what I have. So yeah, I will send that through to you, Chris. It's no problem. Before we go though, let's just listen. Let's just honor the winner, just by listening to her track again. Okay, so let's stick this on. I'll just turn these off because life, Also as well, because Fred had mastered his quite well, so like the levels were quite loud enough. All I did was I just added these two plugins to bring up the level a little bit. So it was just Ozone 9. It wasn't anything that was going to colour your tracks. I didn't want that to be a factor. Okay. So let's take a listen. Well done again, Val. awesome. So yeah, I'm gonna stop the stream now. You will hear from me tonight, hopefully, with your prizes or to get information, so I can either send you prizes or set them up or whatnot. So thank you very much, anybody who watches this as well. If you want to be part of the community, please do. There are links on my YouTube channel, the Media Man Music channel. Another way is, I think on here, if I just check on Twitch, you'll probably find on my page, I might have a link as well to actually coming into the Discord community. So then you could be part of these amazing things. Oh, do I have one? No, I don't have one yet, but I will put them on. By the time you watch this video and get to it, there will be a little box so that you can join the Discord community. So yeah, thank you guys, and we'll see you soon. Bye. And